and pick the Sejuani, remember?
Okay.
Whenever Yorick in the game, you typically want to have a strong 4-man unit because he's just going to be off over and, Timbuktu doing whatever he's
Over
supposed to do.
yonder.
Yeah, and you trust that he's going to hopefully win you the game, which has, not been super fantastic, right? Have a
No.
couple of good Yorick wins, but a couple of Yorick losses.
Yeah, been lost most importantly in their series earlier. So here from IG, they're going for a composition that does feel a little bit squishy so far from their top side. You have a Jace for poke. Jiejie, who has been mighty impeccable on this Lilia this year so far, has had a handful of games already where he has basically saved IG. And now we're getting the Varus here for Gala. So it seems like IG are going to want to play at range, take away some of these HP bars very early on, and keep their opponents at arm's reach.
Yeah, and they also have go buttons, right? The Lilia ultimate, the Varus ultimate. You can whittle down this 4-man squad of JDG, force them off wherever they're trying to defend, and then maybe get a pick or two on the way out and really try to minimize the damage that Yorick will do while maximizing the rewards you can get. But Misfortune, a pretty solid champion to pair up with Sejuani engages.
And it feels like JDG have really been forcing this Misfortune a lot. When we talk about this MF, it has looked, at the very beginning of the year, one of Peyz's weakest champions and just being able to position and find team fights, but he is slowly starting to get more and more comfortable with this champ here with JDG. And I think there's a lot of criticism, rightfully so, but I think making sure that he has this champion who, for the most part, stays a staple in a lot of professional games, I think is a really nice tool for CV Max and the rest of JDG to have access to in further series. So we'll see if Scout is able, or if Peyz is able to perform. He doesn't have quite as much lockdown. We can kind of already see that support's starting to get focused specifically from JDG, which I find surprising.
Yeah, I did too. And, just making sure that IG doesn't have that hard engage. I do think that there may be a couple of other options. A Rel, I think, would be pretty okay. It's a good takeaway as well. It doesn't really fit 100% with the comp, but sometimes you do want that hard engage. And then, of course, the Silas getting banned by IG because you give a Silas over to Scout, will be able to make an impact even with just a Varus.
I just don't think this is a Silas game so far. I mean, you really don't want to have to try to play into some of these carries. It's great into the Lilia as this game goes on, but who exactly are we pairing with Sejuani? Because we don't have the Yone, so that's going to be gone, and Yone typically gets to get paired with this champion. So what kind of melee mid, if any, are we going to be getting from Scout? I could expect from JDG they might try to go for their support pick on 4, and then just let Scout have counter on 5. Maybe they think that the bot lane matchup is a little bit more important here versus Meiko.
Yeah, it looks like they may forsake a melee mid because, again, not too many left. Like, other than that, you're picking like Galio, which with this team composition I don't think is necessarily going to work. Could go with the old tried and true. No reason why you wouldn't be pretty happy with a Victor, especially given the fact that you will be playing often as a 4-man unit, so that gravity field will do well to stop IG from trying to get in there.
Okay, but we don't have any setup. This is literally almost the same comp that we just saw from NIP in game number 2 of their series. I'm kind of scared because there's not enough setup here for Misfortune. There's no one that can really tank, especially because we've already set up the fact that Yorick is probably going to be in a side lane more often than not. So with IG just being able to outrange them, be able to kind of ignore the big bodies of a Sejuani, Misfortune and Victor kind of are put into a really tough position here. So IG, I mean, I feel like you can kind of tie this all together with a mid lane pick, whether it is going to be this Rise or you're able to get the Aurora. You're kind of fine with this matchup right now.
Yeah, that Rel got taken away, so JDG not going to have that tool, and I think the Rise would be great because you can get this Varus and this Lilia maybe a little bit closer if JDG tries to run away on low health bars. You can also have a lot of creative Realm Warps that we've seen a lot of mid laners pull out. Now we await JDG's support.
There's no Alistar. Honestly, a Leona kind of saves the game because... All right, we're going for Nautilus. Very similar to the Leona with the point-and-click ultimate and the hook. So how IG play this is going to come down to who exactly is going to be able to stop Sejuani and the Nautilus. And while there isn't as much setup as I would like for Misfortune, I look over at IG and it's only Rel who can realistically tank a hook or a Sejuani ult this time around. IG are playing a very risky composition that is going to want to play the side lanes, collapse inwards after they push their waves, and play off of the fact that they have good waves push in mid thanks to having this Varus later on into the game. Either getting themselves early grubs or getting some of those early dragons are going to be very important for Invictus Gaming.
One thing you mentioned is that Meiko has been dying a lot for this team.
Yeah.
Him being the primary source of engage here does mean that his body is going to once again be on the line. He's going to have to be very measured with his engages. You go a little bit too far, now you're just throwing the game away, right? You do not want to give too much over to the other side.
And an important matchup against two teams that are in our top 6 right now. JDG trying to push further and potentially break top 2 and enter the same class as Anyone's Legend and TES. While Invictus Gaming playing a few more games than JDG, but unfortunately not necessarily locking down some of these wins. And so I think a win versus one of our other top teams would build a lot of confidence, not only for themselves, but across the league for an Invictus Gaming that has so many fans watching them.
If JDG lose 2 straight, all of a sudden we've got some questions, right? Because of the matter of who they've lost to. Because IG, even with a win here, I still don't think will have fully proven themselves. They proved that they can win to anybody and lose to anybody on any given day, right? Even with a win here. But it would prove that their highs are incredibly high. AlkBattery, it's time for game 1 of this best of 3 series between Invictus Gaming and JDG, as we're ready to get on Summoner's Rift in just a moment.
Such an important game. And here for Invictus, kind of am looking towards this bottom lane and what they're able to do. And again, we're going to have our eyes on our 2 mid laners here. Victor, a mage that typically gets a lot of priority early on, but it's going to be hard for him to play as we get right into game number 1.
Well, that's so cool. Even at the home stadium of JDG.
Meiko!
Oh no, Meiko. It's too early for this, Meiko, please! Does flash away, dodge down on the hook, he will survive. But a rough start.
Incredibly close. I mean, you say a rough start. He still has Hex Flash. You now have gotten rid of the Ignite from this bottom lane matchup. I think that's incredibly fortunate and as good as it's going to get here for IG. Now that we have them missing out on that, this does kind of change up some of the bot lane pairs, especially now with Gala going for the Hail of Blades. Potentially there's an angle here at level 2, potentially, or even level 3, that without this Ignite, IG can find a win in the 2v2.
Absolutely right. This doesn't mean there's opportunity for Shun to perhaps show up to the bottom side. But guess who's showing up to the top side? They're bullying out little brother.
Yep. Shun, it's nice to welcome you to the LPL in 2021, but Rookie and TheShy just say, look, no, there's no bad blood, but we got to win on the stage when it comes down to it. And already pushing the Sejuani off, no flash, has to start half HP on the bottom side, and now they've completely opened up the map here in the top side. Jiejie is going to have access to all of these top side camps. Alla has to play very carefully in this bottom lane. Oh, missing.
Oh, he's missing the hook. Does get taken to half. One trade for IG. That's going to make it incredibly difficult for Shun to try to get into this bottom side, right? He might just lose out on camps because of the way the lanes are, but we'll see. We'll see. Maybe he just makes a beeline over and Jiejie just decides we're okay with a vertical map.
It looks like he is going to see how many of his topside camps he'll actually have access to, although looking at the minimap now, he is starting to lean towards his bottom side. It's going to be very important for JDG's bot lane to get priority, or at least for Missing to get freed up to move, so that they can try to look for something. Bit of chip damage down on the scout. Great job from Jiejie and Rookie. But now that they know Jiejie has crossed over, Sun's like, well, do I just cross through mid and try to find, some of his topside camps? Oh, Rookie. Oh,
okay, we're
Rookie.
just going to look for Rookie. Scout's at level 3. Rookie's got to flash away. I like that Shun's being very aggressive here. A flash after Rookie. He's an auto
Oh,
away
the
from
Raptors!
death.
The Raptors!
Oh, the Raptor! Come on! No, it's on to Jiejie.
What?
And Jiejie will get the smite and secure his Raptors.
I think the Dream Dust passive from Lilia plus the jungle camp kept aggro that entire time. Very lucky stuff there. And we also have now lost flashes from 3 out of the 4 members of this mid-jungle duo. Rookie having a flash over the wall, Scout trying to follow TheShy. Oh,
He's locked
no.
in the cage. He's not doing just fine. Actually, he is. He's okay.
But this
so
is such a good thing for Shun now, because he actually gets to farm more than just 3 camps on the bottom lane. He gets a red buff, and that's it. He doesn't even get the Raptors. He has 4 camps and maybe the Scuttle on bottom side. This is a tough ask for Shun early on into this game.
We talk about so much how you have to really disrupt early Lilia clears, but Lilia is the one doing the disrupting and now has so much and is going to be a little supercharged. You can already see pings going down onto the Raptor respawn as Rookie starts a fight with Scout. He is a level down, no flashes. Shun shows up to the mid lane here, and Rookie's going to get stunned, and it looks like he's going to go down. It's going to be first blood to Scout. Meanwhile, on the bottom side, Meiko going in, and the Ignite is down on the Missing. Gala trying to get this kill. Missing couldn't hit the wall, and he hits the floor.
There we go. So 1 for 1 across the board. Maybe they try to look for a little bit more. Bot lane is going to be pushed back. Jiejie is going to try and steal. He gets most of the Raptors. Despite his mid lane going down, Jiejie is saying, I'm determined to take this camp away from JDG. And I like how these two teams are testing each other early on, seeing what they're allowed to get away with. Can I make this trade? Am I allowed to take this camp here? Seeing what is illegal and what is not so far between two teams.
Already these teams poking and prodding back and forth. Scout getting a little supercharged here. A kill going over to Meiko. You would have really liked it in the back pocket of Gala. And now I'm very curious to see what sort of fights we'll get as this grubs come up in about 45 seconds. Both mid laners still without flash. Gala down a barrier. The ignites are down for the supports. So a lot less aggression you're able to really impose on the enemies.
Yeah, for right now, it's going to be IG with that favor in terms of the lanes. I don't think we're going to get any grubs for at least the next 45 seconds, with Jiejie still having to do his bottom side camps. There's also going to be a scuttle spawning in time as well, so something that they'll be looking at. Ricky doesn't have the ultimate quite yet, and he is quite far behind when we talk about the experience between these two. So there might even be a situation where if Scout gets a recall, he'll have level 6 before his opponent, and that could be a big game changer.
Without a doubt, and especially because you have a lot more instant combat power with the Chaos Storm as opposed to Ryze's ultimate to try to at least get in there, right? Obviously, one of them does damage, the other one does not. Shun up on the top side here, just trying to clear out this pink, maybe get a little bit of control, as we have 3 strong on the top side for JDG, while Jiejie clears his top side, and the grubs have been started up by Shun.
Okay. It's JDG first in the river. IG are going to be the first ones to have to push out their waves, trying to get this top lane fixed. At least one grub. Jiejie is watching, and Rookie is getting close to having his level 6, so he'll be able to realm warp and change positions with his team.
Oh, wait, they're just going to turn on to Rookie here. He's in the middle of 4 members, and that Chaos Storm will take him out. Missing will die on the backside, and now Shun is forced to flash away as Gala and Meiko are running at him. The Ignite is down, but Gala's got a flash over the wall because Peyz has been untouched. Meiko's going to get another kill for himself, but Peyz is in trouble, down to about half HP for the stun onto Jiejie. Does Meiko want to go back in? He is a little low. They're going to flash forward, try to make a play. Meiko can. No, he does. He gets the stun onto Peyz.
Oh, no!
And the Dream Dust, the dodge, it doesn't matter. Peyz falls to Jiejie.
And Jiejie on this Lilia is now turbocharged at this point. Missing is going to try and come in and interrupt. Doesn't even land the hook. It's still one grub going over to JDG, but now the jungler of IG is in such a good position to carry this game. Who is going to be able to stop this Lilia outside of a Nautilus ultimate? A tough ask here for JDG as they lose that fight and are still trying to jockey for position, as so many summoner spells go over in favor of IG.
You're so right, Alk. The only person who can really try to slow down Lilia is this Nautilus, but then you're going to have to follow up, right? Jiejie, if this ultimate comes through, it's not instant. If he's got so much movement speed, he can just run away. Speaking of running away, Shun forced to get out of there. He does snag a grub for himself, but it's been a rough early start for the Sejuani.
Early pathing to try to get rid of Sejuani early. We saw the invade. Scout no longer having the gravity well is something that maybe they wish they can kind of take back as JDG. We kind of see how well Jiejie was able to kind of space this fight, just constantly playing around, having his prance so that he can have all this movement speed, and there's no one without any crowd control from the side of JDG that could actually stop him from doing so. I like how aggressive they were willing to play with some of their summoner spells, and I think they're going to be more than happy with this trade, especially with ultimate starting to come up for this bottom lane. No flash available for this Misfortune is something that they can try to play around.
Thankfully for JDG, Jiejie does not have his flash, so you don't have to worry about getting flashed on and 3 people getting tagged with a Lilia. You just have to worry about the Lilia running you down because of how strong he is right now. 2-0-1 already with those Faded Ashes, going to help that clear a little bit more. JDG congregating on the bottom side here. Maybe a little thirsty for an objective as TheShy and Allah going to go in for a little bit of a trade, but Jiejie shows up to the party. Shun gets tagged as well, and the Lilting Lullaby going to go down. They will elect to go on top of Allah, and Allah is going to have a hard time dealing with these two. He's going to flash over the wall. Will the pursuit continue? It does. They're going to tag him with a slow, but TheShy and Jiejie can't get closer.
But can they go for the redive here? You kind of see that they're going to try and push this wave. Shun is getting chased through enemy jungle. Meiko might spot him here. Uh-oh, this is going from bad to worse for the JDG jungle.
Okay, Rookie. Oh, he got behind the minions. That's a veteran's move if I've ever seen it. Meanwhile, Shun trying to escape. He still thinks he plays with TheShy and Rookie. He's on their side of the map, but he manages to get back to his team after he comes to his senses.
Wow. Tough plays, and the fact that both Shun and the Rookie are able to kind of make different escapes in different situations. Really cool here. I will kind of give over the fact that IG are still advantaged in this game. They're making consistently better plays. I like how they disrupted Shun very early on into this game. And we have not seen too much of Allah in the side lane. It is him going just below even with TheShy in on this Jace, and just barely being able to get himself the plate here. He doesn't even get
Not
it.
Even. Oof.
Wow.
That's tough. You're going to have to put your body on the line without a flash to go back up there again. Maybe Jiejie pays you a bit of a visit later. You don't have the vision, so you have no idea. It's going to be very worrisome for Allah as he looks to get himself kickstarted. And he really needs to be the one to get kickstarted, because right now, IG up 2,000 gold. And the only person you're thinking about for JDG to hang your hat on is probably a late game scout.
Yeah, but again, we said for both of these teams that the front lines are going to be so important. One much more built out for JDG as this game goes on. And for IG, it is just Meiko by himself. Not even TheShy going for a bruiser build this time around. Instead, opting for the lethality and going for a much higher DPS. So, going to be interesting to see what he's able to accomplish on this Jace. It's going to be the first dragon at 11.5 minutes here, while it seems like JDG are going to be sulking around, seeing if they can make a play after this camp, potentially on top side.
The injury's already finished for Jiejie. We also have the Ghost Blade coming through for Gala. I mean, this team is incredibly strong right now after they took that Dragon 2. Second set of grubs in about 10 seconds. I can't imagine JDG is hankering for a fight. I mean, Shun on the other side, just a pair of belts. That's it, man. This is a maul in 2011. Bro's got multiple belts on, but that's it.
Yeah. It's so tough, because even if TheShy is going to be able to finish off this wave, he'll recall, he'll be able to teleport wherever they need him on the map, and he'll have access to the Youmuu's. Scout potentially getting caught out here.
Yeah, this is a problem. Scout is out of mana. Yeah, he's going to deal good damage to Rookie, and Rookie is going to be forced away, worried about that damage from the Chaos Storm. Maybe we'll elect to see a redive. Scout wisely going to limp walk. Victor doesn't limp anymore. He's going to get out of there as Jiejie secures 3 grubs on the top side.
Wow, 5 grubs now here for the side of IG. You are feeling so good if you're able to get alone time now. We're even seeing it, Rookie being able to hit on this top lane tier 1. They're even bringing Gala and Jiejie, so they get a little bit of piece of the pie here. And that'll be a large influx of gold now being put into the pockets of Invictus Gaming, as Some of their lane assignments look a little bit wonky here as they kind of have been moving around the map, but IG are continuing to grow their lead in this game, and JDG still feel a little bit disheveled. We're seeing individual plays that are starting to work out for them, but in terms of where and how we've actually activated our junglers, Jiejie has had a much better time this game compared to his counterpart.
Yeah, Jun had that really nice play coming through to get a, take out a couple of members, going after Rookie early on, but other than that has been really quiet. We haven't seen his Sejuani ult come off yet as Gala looking to punish Scout for stepping up a little bit too far. I think this is a one-on-one that Scout might lose. He flashes away. You still have the chains. They do land, and here comes JJ too, just trying to get a little bit closer. You just got to tag this Victor. He's slowed up. He's trying to get away, and he goes down as TheShy cuts him off.
And now they can just take access to top side, or they can just go right back into mid. You see how much jungle attention they're putting here, as after this play with Scout going down, they're going to try and invade for red buff. Allah is in the area.
Here's the knock.
Probably just going to be Meiko going down.
Giving his life for the team once again. Probably didn't have to, but he did.
Okay, but look at the map right now, right? Like, Gala was here first. He's going to recall. He'll be able to use Youmu's if he really needs to get back to base. Rookie gets to crash a second wave on this bottom lane turret. So JDG are starting to slip here in this game, which does make it all the more difficult for them. As we said, yes, they have some ability to scale in this game, but on the opposite side, who's dealing with this Lilia? Who is going to be able to actually kill this Ryze once he has fully stacked Rod of Ages and the Seraphs as well and whatever other items he goes for? It's going to be a tough game here for JDG to fight back.
Seeing Rookie come through, looking to make another pinch play on the Scout. Scout, summonerless, recalling on a ward. His Goose may just very well be cooked. The gravity field comes out, but everybody's going to dodge it out. They're going to put him to sleep, and they're actually going to put him to sleep and send him back to the base.
Wow, this is a very similar playstyle and kind of win condition that we saw from their series versus FPX, where I guess they're just making the connection that Scout plays alone on the side lane a lot, and they are preying on that weakness, getting multiple kills now onto Scout, slowing down the game for JDG, and IG get to continue to wail away at these turrets. Rookie's just sitting in front of Sun like, hey, you're playing Sejuani, I do not care. I have 5 grubs, and we get to take control of mid for free.
And it always feels bad as a jungler when you have to scoop up a solo lane wave at this point in the game, because there's probably 20 other things you'd rather be doing, like the Rift Herald that's coming up in 20 seconds, or this Dragon in 45 seconds, and getting setups for that. And it's just really not possible right now for JDG, as TheShy is going to knock down top tier 1.
First turret going over, which does mean feats of strength completed for Invictus Gaming. And they tried to bring over Sun. It looks like instead what JDG are going to do is overpower mid lane, try to clear out some of this vision, and prop themselves up to look for a fight. They could also make the decision that 5 grubs is a little too scary and instead try to pressure for a herald on the top side. It would also help reinforce Scout here, considering of how much attention he's already received. So playing to his side of the map is, definitely an option there.
Oh, change the corruption. It's going to go down on the Peyz. He does have cleanse still. He's not going to burn anything. As now Meiko gets hooked, and the turnaround is here. The bullet time means that Meiko will fall. Missing going to get turned on below half HP, but no tags to be had from JJ. So a quick pick for JDG.
Okay, TheShy, how much damage can you do? Not enough. It's going to be the turret still falling. And those are some big ultimates now missing from the side of JDG. No ultimate on this bottom lane. Sun as well, missing his. Maybe if Jiejie gets a pretty creative ultimate here with Rookie, they can maybe look for something a little bit more.
Gala stepped up.
Gala, you are not allowed to stand up there. There's a couple minions there that help trade off of the love taps. They get pushed off the objective. Okay.
That's a shocker. All right, they're just going to let it go. I mean, with these ultimates down, as you said, big tools, they really don't want to fall any further behind, but AlkBattery, they run the risk of doing so by giving over this Herald as TheShy continues to do things on the side lanes. 2 turrets for him total. It means that these inners are exposed.
And now it just means that mid-tier 1 becomes a lot easier to try to go for ganks. I mean, you can have the Ryze sitting behind the turret. You can have Jay sitting on either side of the lane, throwing shock blasts from Fog of War. Lilia can get really up and close and comfortable with you. It will be JDG getting finally their turn at being able to hit these hit some of these objectives and grabbing themselves the first dragon for their side. But
Oh, Meiko!
oh no,
Meiko, what are we doing,
no,
brother?
he's
He is going to
fine.
hop
He's
away and
fine.
survive. But this is starting to get worrisome. It's already happened twice.
He has a lot of HP, so he's able to, he can work with that for the time being. It does get scary as the game goes on once more items start to come on through. But like I was saying here for IG, 5 grubs, a herald on top of that, and you're hitting 2 item power spikes on a lot of your champions. This is going to be a point in the game where IG are going to feel very, very strong. And for JDG, it's going to all be about, can they survive? Can they get to their second and third items here? Particularly, the person that I'm looking towards is Peyz. Already finished with the Essence Reaver, so he is in such a strong spot as this Misfortune, but is the rest of the team really going to be able to buy him space so that he can let loose with this bullet time?
Yeah, it's either that or he's got to get creative and hope that IG forgets about him. And if you're hoping that a top-tier professional team will do that, you're already in a bit of a bad way. Speaking of 2 items, Jiejie also on 2 items right now, has that Rift Maker completed. Rookie stacking away at that Rod of Ages, as well as Scout. They're going to be pretty even items there. And Shoot has finally completed that Heartsteel, but has no stacks on it yet.
We're already seeing from JDG, they are losing access to some of their jungle camps. You can already see that Meiko is being an active ward and scouting out where Shun is. And you have Otacon on the top side of the map, where we are locked cam onto Allah here to see how much he can actually do. And he will have a pretty important job of on the side lane for JDG with this 4-man core. How much can he actually, kind of push on the lanes? If the lane is falling apart, I almost kind of want to see him group. I know a lot of people are afraid to see the Yorick kind of join the rest of the team, but surely he is going to be more useful than just sitting on a side lane taking a turret.
Yeah, he's only gotten 1 so far. I mean, TheShy's already gotten 2. Like, this is one of the most iconic split-pushing champions of all time in the Yorick, and TheShy is out-dueling him right now. Obviously, Yorick going to get a little bit extra power later, but for right now, TheShy's got 2 items, so, whether or not he's on a side lane or he joins a fight, he's going to be incredibly impactful, and things are going swimmingly for IG as they're up about 2,500 gold. This Otacon you saw is available on the top side. It would take a bit of an interesting start to a fight for anything to kick off there, but this dragon in about 2 minutes as well is something to keep an eye on as IG are fishing around looking for somebody out of position.
I really like what Rookie has been doing on this rise, which is pushing a wave and then dropping into Fog of War. It makes it very difficult for the enemy team if they don't have a direct ward on top of him to see where he is. And that means that plays around mid are much more possible. I mean, if Jiejie or Meiko are able to find and engage, he could just realm warp in and bring himself over to get a numbers advantage. Smart play coming out from one of the most legendary players to touch the LPL. And now we're kind of seeing a bit of a stalemate. The game slowing down in favor of JDG. They're only down 2,500 gold. Meiko Spidey sense, he knows. He's like, they're not showing on mid-wave. We know that Yorick is by himself bot lane. They have to be doing something in the river.
We're going to rip a Rift Herald. We're going to rip a fight. Peyz has no summoners, and he's stunned over the wall. He's managed to get out of there, though, but everybody's got to run scared for JDG as the Rift Herald got dropped in the mid lane. Meiko is in hot pursuit, too. The first turret in the mid lane will fall, and we're looking for a second Herald charge to come through. This is going to be mid-inhibitor, inner turret as well. AlkBattery, another nice map play by IG.
And a very expensive one for JDG with not only those turrets going down, but double summoners from Peyz now no longer available. So, I mean, you've got Baron spawning in 3. I think that's a little bit off the cards, but if a big team fight does occur, we can expect that maybe that is on the table. You have Dragon spawning in 40 seconds, and JDG, they still have a lot of great ultimates, but it's all about that backline access, and you still have things like the Realm Warp coming in from Rookie. Jiejie still has his flash, and he can find and engage. So it's really going to be whether or not we kind of see what objectives JDG choose to participate in, because that kind of will tell the tale of whether or not they are, what exactly they're playing for, who they're prioritizing gold on, and if they feel like they can slowly start to eat back an advantage in this game.
Multiple members on this top side. IG perhaps sniffing around for an Otacon, while JDG at least getting some wards down onto this dragon. Listen, that dragon for Otacon trade would not be beneficial. Now IG is congregated down toward the mid lane, moving well as a unit here, with Rookie anchoring them.
Now I'm taking a look at this. I mean, Rookie just gets to push the mid wave again. Taking that mid tier one was so important for them to be able to establish priority in this lane and a little bit of safety with that turret behind their backs. A ward from Meiko will reveal 2 members of JDG, but this is alone time now for Scout to be able to hit this turret. Peyz was able to push this mid wave, and not much doing here for JDG, just simply watching their opponents take an objective in front of them.
And they don't actually take anything while doing it, right? You know, now they're doing their jungle camps after the objective is already gone, not really realizing that, hey, you know, this isn't our objective fight to have. They're looking around, watching the dragon hit them. It's not like the dragon's going to deal any extra damage. It's not like this dragon's all of a sudden going to crit them, and this is your opportunity to go. So I really hate the lack of proactivity of JDG, at least doing things elsewhere, right?
You know, I'll cut them some slack. There wasn't much there to do. Like, you can't really push mid because Rookie can very easily just come back into that lane. Gala was not too far off from the objective, so he also could have caught this mid wave. There wasn't much for JDG to do in that moment. Maybe they just try to use some of their ultimates to fish, but this is just IG now letting rip onto this objective. There's no prio, right? Like, they now have Jay sitting in mid pushing this wave. Scout is only just now clearing this. There's no vision here for JDG.
Well, JDG going to try to get some of that vision down. Missing has already spotted that this is happening. It's down to 8,000 HP. Ala continues
but look at
the
Meiko with
push.
this ward.
As IG have 5 members strong right now. Meiko on a ward, looking to Hex Flash over. Maybe cause some disruption. He'll go away, down to about 3,500 as Teleport's going to come in and Ala's going to join the fight. The Hook's going to go down onto Meiko. Jiejie getting a little low. Missing's the first to fall. Bullet time coming through. And Jiejie's got a flash out of there as the Otacon's getting lower. And it's secured by Shun. So the false life buff going over to JDG. Rookie's got to try to get out of there. And he will be able to realm warp out with a sliver of HP.
How much more can they grab here? A full minion wave. Jiejie still has the ultimate, but no flash this time. Really disciplined play coming in from JDG to eventually muscle them out. I like how they were able to play around the bullet time. No, it doesn't pick up kills, but the way it forces them around. TheShy finds a kill, which is great, but it is the false life, so not as much in terms of a real kill. It will let Scout reset. I mean, he can just very quickly come back to mid lane if he really wants to. Don't think you're going to be missing too much off of that. I was really happy about how JDG played that sequence.
Yeah, really excellently done. The bullet time from Peyz, as you said, had a really large impact, keeping Jiejie away for the secure. Let's take a look at the replay here. Starts off with Missing getting picked, but you know what? That's okay. It works out.
I mean, the thing that I'm looking at is watch how Peyz's bullet time just splits this fight in half. Jiejie has to flash out, so now JDG have majority control of the pit. He can't get back into smite. They'll grab themselves the Otacon like we had noted. And Rookie is just trying for his life not to die in this situation. A second realm warp that he's escaped. Literally the misfortune bullet is in mid-air. Still doesn't connect with him. So a small win for JDG. It is the, you know, like we were saying, the voracious Otacon, so won't have as much scaling potential, but at least buying them an out, as well as stopping IG from just outright being able to do whatever they wanted with this buff.
Yeah, and they were able to take that top turret as well. Got a couple of kills, so a little bit of gold in their pockets. And one thing to also point out is Scout zone control in that fight was about as good as Peyz too, as they're looking for an engage onto Meiko, but the ultimates don't land. Shun missing that one. IG will wait out the false life buff.
Not bad. So you can see that Jiejie is trying to fish for an engage, fish for something, maybe even force Missing out here.
On the false life buff. Missing, get knocked out, but he's going to survive. That bullet time is not going to hit Jiejie at all, but he's kind of stuck in the cage right now. And here's the Meiko coming through with a big engage and Shy on the backside. Going to knock 2 back, 3 back to the base.
Look at Scout though.
Fall too, and Scout doesn't have it, and he's going to fall, but not before he takes out TheShy.
Big fight there for JDG, and with those false lives, they will just come back right onto the map. You think about what they traded there, TheShy, no flash, similar things for Meiko. They don't have ultimates. This is going to be right before the Dragon. You see that JDG are immediately redeploying back onto the top side of the map. They want to see if they can grab Baron so they can reinforce some of these waves. Misfortune is up. I like what JDG are doing around this game right now, Yanni.
Yeah, they've all of a sudden woken up, and they're going to just try and rip this Baron. Jiejie down for 10 more seconds. 3-man unit from IG coming through. You see the pings going down on it as well. Gala wants to scoop up these minions. So they know they have at least a little bit of time. This Baron is not particularly quick. 8,000, 7,000. Now it's starting to drop big time. Gala, rookie, Meiko trying to get in and make a play. Are they going to peel off? Yes, they are. They'll turn around to Meiko and go right back to the Baron. Teleport coming in. But the Baron secured for JDG as the roof goes down to Ala. He's at half HP. Rookie looking for more. Goes golden to dodge the hook as TheShy comes in over the top to try to make plays. Shun's got to run away, but he's going to fall next. And they're going to go on top of missing and eat a full bullet time, but it doesn't matter. The shields are enough. Peyz is going to be able to get away because of the damage he puts out, but IG picks some kills off.
3 members going down, and the Baron is still JDG's. A really tough ask. In general, I would still say this slightly gives an advantage to JDG, but you cannot deny how resilient this IG roster is right now. I mean, to be fair, Rookie is becoming an unkillable Rise machine in this game. He is letting spell flux after overload just completely rip apart this JDG roster. Ooh. And he's mechanically doing well too. So I think it's a scary game for JDG as they're starting to nickel and dime IG for a lot of these objectives, and IG are just coming and willing to play here.
This Dragon gonna get started up by IG, looking to put themselves on to Infernal Soul Point. I do not think JDG will be able to stop them. This Baron power play is in the negatives right now for JDG. As this Dragon goes down, as we get to the 30-minute mark of the game, as you said, this Rise is going to be incredibly difficult to kill. 3 full items. And we've talked a lot about the Victor build, the Rod of Ages Victor, and how it doesn't exactly dispense chunks of damage. It's going to be hard on the side lane, but in these fights, it's going to have to be enough along with the damage coming through from Peyz.
And I like this from JDG, playing through mid, then looking towards bottom side to reinforce Yorick.
Meiko, you silly goose, you did it again. Wow, that's a lot of damage back, but the support for IG falls once more.
Okay, but JDG are trying to make a play around the bottom side of the map. I appreciate the look from missing. They're trying to use every last bit of this Baron that they can. They'll grab themselves a bottom lane tier 1. And even in the loss here, I mean, it's been a majority of this game, 3,000 gold in favor of IG. They have started to shore this up just ever so much. And the 2 players that we are looking towards for JDG, 2 items here on Scout, but he's getting close to finishing a Azonia's himself. Peyz has already finished those 3 items and is looking for his 4th. If this Misfortune can ever find a fight, it's amazing for them. Well, IG, they basically have a date with Destiny every 5 minutes because of the fact that they have a soul, and Jiejie is still incredibly powerful. Rookie we just complimented, and Gala, I mean, he gets to continue playing a range champion that kind of makes it incredibly difficult for Scout and Peyz to do their jobs.
Very easy for him to keep JDG at bay, and we're just waiting for Jiejie's big flash Q to come in to put JDG to sleep. 3 minutes on this Dragon. The Baron spawning within a 20-second window between them. That'll be interesting to see. Any jockeying for position on the objectives. And for right now, if you're JDG, you just hope you don't get picked off, because IG still have good map control, and you cannot afford to cede much more vision.
And if they lose this fight, obviously, with 5 grubs, it's going to be very easy for Invictus to close out this first game here. We talked about, for IG, the way that this poke composition with Jace and Gala, or Jace and Varus wants to work is get in position first, set up your battle lines, and pick points on the map that make it impossible.
Here's
Ala has to flash over.
They're going all in on Ala here. The hook from missing down.
This wall!
But Jiejie can't get into the fight. Ala still going down, getting very low. Here's the bullet time coming through.
Come
right on top of
on!
JJ, they take him out. It's a 5v4 for right now, but they're chopping down the health bars as JDG begins to drop. Rookie's going golden.
Peyz?
He's got to make the
Peyz!
plays. What a flash from Peyz. TheShy's on the backside, trying to deal with Scout. It's a triple kill for Peyz. He's going ham and trying to chase down Rookie, looking for more. He's strutting his stuff, slowing him up, hitting the double shots, the quadra kill to end the fight, and a big play to save the game.
And LeBron Peyz has scored from the free throw line, man. Let's go!
Crazy.
The boy wonder from Jiejie from the LCK has finally come up clutch for his team. He has been the big carry for this roster all year long, the most consistent member, bar none. And in that fight, he calls his shot, finds a play to make this game open. And now, Yanni, we kind of get into a situation where that was a really nice play. He gets himself all 5 items here as Misfortune. But the big question for me is, look at the summoner spells that are missing. No flash for Peyz, no flash for Shun or Ala, and you still have so many ways to make these kinds of plays happen while you're IG.
It's going to be so tough for him to play, but it was tough for TheShy and JJ to play. That wall by Ala did so much to keep this fight from getting out of hand. It really shut down JJ.
It was so creative, and that play should have been a lot better for them with the Realm War, but now they're fighting into a choke versus a Victor and this Misfortune. And I'll just let the audience watch this again, because this was so incredible to watch from Peyz. I mean, he has, again, just been so consistent, and a lot of questions were asked whether or not he was actually as good as he was, if the results that he achieved were merely because he was on one of the best rosters to ever kind of grace the LCK. And he's showing, at least here, that he was definitely pulling at least some of his weight. Maybe having to do more so on this team.
JDG, the organization, has to be thanking their lucky stars that this guy was available to take the place of their former AD carry, because he is going insane. And speaking of insane, IG are just looking to rip this Baron. They know that JDG have to send somebody over to this Dragon. They send Ala down for it as multiple members are up here to pull off IG. So you're sacrificing your soul, IG, just for this control on the top side.
I think it's a massive mistake from IG. I don't understand why exactly we're trying to rush for a Baron that is super temporary. Okay, teleports are coming through. Meiko with a massive flank here, and he's no ready. Eyes on him.
He's ready. He doesn't have his flash, but he's got Hex Flash missing. He's going to spot him out here. Meiko's got to get over. Everybody's in retreat mode.
Shun, get in there.
Looking to go in. Here's the bullet time. Rookie's going to go golden. The Baron is secured for IG, and they're looking to go and make plays. JJ going to get knocked up over on the side. Scout keeping people away, but Meiko goes in and calls game. The health bars are falling low. The Realm Warp to not take out missing as he can't get there, Rookie, but it doesn't matter anyway. 4 members fall on JDG, and it's all Meiko's doing.
How can they end the game from this spot? 5 grubs and a Baron here. Maybe they ended up making the right play after all. We had criticisms for them whether or not going for the Baron was worth it for the soul, but missing, taking way too much damage, so he's late to the fight. And now IG are going to look to close out here in game number 1 of the series.
Who's up? It's Shun in 20 seconds, and missing doing what he can, but it's not going to be enough. You should have enough minions. It doesn't matter that Gala's on a sliver. The Nexus turrets will fall. It was not pretty, but it was damn competitive. IG take game 1.
And they do it in such incredible style. Jiejie, for almost all of this game, on point with the Lilia, and even strong games from, I think, everybody across the board here on IG. It's back to the drawing board here for JDG. I think the big focus here was we came into this matchup talking about the junglers, talking about our mid laners. Well, hell, IG just absolutely gapped the hell out of JDG.
Yeah, it was not close. And, you know, big credit for JDG to hanging tough in that game. Ala specifically able to help Peyz make that play on the bottom side to keep this game from getting totally out of reach. But it was all for naught. It was just a mirage AlkBattery, as everybody, as you said, performing exceptionally well on IG from start to finish. If this is the team that you get, 5 players playing very making their big plays. This is the team to beat in the LPL. They just need to actually keep putting it together.
And for IG, it's going to be about, can they close out this series? They've had a hard time in some of their games recently of being able to kind of finish out the games, close out, blow up some nexuses. So it'll be kind of a tough task for them. And for JDG, maybe still stumbling in some of the same ways that they did versus FPX. I mean, again, I called out that one of the strategies that FPX used to beat this team a few days ago was find Scout in a side lane and just keep ganking this guy. He does not react well to getting caught out on side lane, and those multiple picks slowed down the game, bought them time as IG, and more realistically, gave gold over to some of the members of IG to kind of supercharge their carries here. So, I mean, just a really well played game from them. I know we had some moments that we were looking, but even that last fight, we were like, great job, Peyz, you got a quadra, but there's still a lot of game here to play.
Yeah, it was a quadra kill just to get some control back of the game, but realistically, IG still had it in hand, right? They had all this vision control, all this map control. As you said, bit of a mistake. They elected to go for the Baron instead of trying to get this dragon, but it ended up working out in the end. As we saw, Meiko had a nice creative flank, and even though that wasn't the immediate play that started things off, it forced Shun to back off once they saw him, couldn't get in there and try to steal it away, and then Meiko, of course, makes the hero play to call game and end game one.
Yeah, big question marks here, not only for Scout, but for a lot of JDG. I feel like we saw that Shun was taken out of the game incredibly early with some of the early invades, and then having to kind of do this yakety sax running through enemy jungle just to escape. I feel like Shun was definitely on the back burner a lot of this game, and hopefully we get to see that not necessarily be the case, especially for JDG fans. And I mean, just for us, so that this is like a more competitive series.
Yeah, he looked like little bro that game, just messing around. They gave him the unplugged controller, AlkBattery. They said, here, you can play. And he's like, why is my character not doing anything? He's got absolutely shut down early. And, you know, even Sejuani, a champion that is useful later on when you don't have the most resources, he still failed to really make that large of an impact. A couple of missed ultimates, too. And it ended up sinking JDG. Take a look at these damage charts. Yeah, I was gonna say TheShy did a lot of damage in these team fights. Later on, really came on strong.
TheShy played a really immaculate game of Jace today, which is, I think, part of the fun parts of TheShy is just being able to see when he is on form, he looks like one of the best, but it's part of his super aggressive playstyle that we have just seen him bear for multiple years now. And I liked how in that gold graph, you could see the exact moment when JDG won a really big team fight, because that's when they actually got back in. But aside from that, still 7,000 gold to end that game in favor of IG. And I don't even know who we give MVP to, because a large part of this game, we got to see a lot of Jiejie, but I would not be surprised to see Rookie get this MVP, because he played this game really well. The solo lanes, the entire top side of IG performing out of their minds in this game one.
Yeah, they all played really well. So, all right, let's try the process of elimination who we wouldn't give it to. I think Gala, you know, was just there, you know, did very well, did his job fine, but isn't really in contention. I actually don't think Jiejie can be in contention, because we really were missing that big play from him, although he played fairly well most of the game. So now we're starting to get down to either your support who got picked off a couple of times but did have that big engage later on and a couple of good ones. Rookie, who was very consistent all game, had a big play like this in this particular fight to set things up. Or TheShy, who really cleaned up these fights with his superior damage.
I think we can very easily just put Gala and Meiko in the not happening tier.
All right, if you're in Gala,
I would
Meiko
be
not
very
happening,
surprised if Meiko gets it.
It's got to be a solo laner, I think, then.
I really feel strongly that if there's anybody who's going to get it, I feel like it has to be Rookie. Just through and through. Some of the early game was a little bit wacky, but I think in general it kind of got a little chaotic. His Zonias were so well timed in large portions of this game, and he just played the map really well. And I think that's impressive for a player who, at the very beginning of Split 1 and even, you know, parts of Split 2 to start, he was kind of getting gapped.
Yeah, like, he was looking mighty washed.
Disgustingly too. Rookie was looking a little washed. I know that there's some some people in chat who every time IG plays, they're spamming Cookie in chat, but he was that guy today. so far.
Yeah, he really was. We'll hope to see if he can keep it up. All right, so I think off of so here's the problem that I think you have, AlkBattery. I think that you are correct that it should be rookie. I just don't know if the voters are going to give it to him is the issue. You know?
The voters should know better.
The vote we've seen sometimes we've questioned the voters at times. There've been plenty where we're like, you know what? They did right. They made a good decision. A couple that were obvious, but then a couple that left us scratching our heads and, cutting away to break with silence, to be honest with you.
Well, please, LPL voters, I'm begging you. Rookie deserves this. TheShy was hitting a Yorick for, I'm pretty sure his damage numbers are as reflective of a melee champion playing against a ranged champion of all time. He's just sitting there hitting Yorick in the head.